We're here with Connie Britton from Nashville, and I wanted to ask you, Connie, you pretty much haven't played someone on TV since 2007 that hasn't gotten nominated for an Emmy. What's the secret to your success?
Oh my gosh. I wish I knew. Good luck. I've been so lucky. Um, I don't have anything else to attribute it to except that I do play roles that I really love and am excited about, and I just try to make them as personal and true and authentic as I can. But it's really just that I get really lucky.
Yeah, well, it did take you a while to break through for your first nomination. It wasn't until the fourth season of Friday Night Lights that you were able to get in to that lead actress race. And I guess
Yeah.
since then, it's just sort of been the floodgates open, and you've just gotten them for first season of American Horror Story, first season of Nashville.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I think that the Emmys are very elusive, and there's so many people out there doing amazing work. And, I, for me, whatever I've done has never really been about, it's just really been about, creating a character that feels true and real to me, and hopefully one that will make some impact and will resonate with people. And beyond that, I never really worry about it that much. It's much more important to me to create a character that feels authentic and is going to get into the hearts of the audience. So when able to be successful at doing that, and then also to be acknowledged in such a wonderful, honorary way as the Emmys is really. It's very elusive and very flattering and always surprising. So I never, ever, ever take it for granted. And, I feel really fortunate about it.
Mm. And what was it like, I think, in particular, with Nashville getting that nomination? Because in some ways, when you got nominated for American Horror Story, there were plenty of nominations for that show. When you got nominated for Friday Night Lights, Kyle was in there too. But you're sort of like the big flag bearer for Friday Night Lights at the Emmys last year.
Yeah, well, to me that felt very much like I was representing the show, because I always look at everything as such a collaboration, and certainly one of the things that I love about Nashville is that we all, I love doing a show, even though in some ways it's challenging to go on location to do a show. Both Nashville and Friday Night Lights were very location specific, and the locations of each of those shows have been very important. And obviously shooting our show in Nashville is very important, and there's a real sense of camaraderie that is created for all of us to go to a town and dive in and get to know the town. And Nashville's been so welcoming to us, and to create this world on TV that is really reflective of the town that we're in. And so when I got that nomination last year, I really, really felt that I was there representing the whole show, because there's no Rayna without all of the other characters, and not just all the other characters, but all of our crew. We have such amazing, hardworking crew, and I'm always very connected with every crew that I work with, and really every aspect of the show, all the writers who are working so hard, and to me, it's very important to have a strong connection with everyone involved. Because we're all working together, trying to make the best thing, and trying to everyone's working together to try to make it better and better and better. So that's what that felt like for me last year.
Now, Nashville's a show with a whole number of different layers, whether it's the sort of the music side of things, or the business side of things, or the relationship side of things. Which of sort of all those sort of different elements of the show do you enjoy the most?
It's so interesting. I actually have to say the music side, and that's surprising only because that has, without question, been the scariest part of the show for me. You know, going into this, that was the part that it sort of lured me in a way, because I was so interested in taking the risk and taking the challenge of trying to do the music and sing these songs and have that element of this character, which I've never really done before. You know, playing a woman who's been performing on stage in that way for her whole life, and so that was without question the scariest part. But you know, ultimately, that also ends up being the most rewarding part. And every time we get to shoot a scene, you know, where we're performing on stage, whether it's at the Ryman or the Opry or any number of the other stages where we get to perform, and you know, I get to put on my like glittery costume, and you know, I've already gone into the studio and recorded the song, and before that, I've already worked with my vocal coach for hours and hours and hours, and you know, learned the song, and you know, all of those things are so exciting and so nerve-wracking, but ultimately then to get out on the stage and be able to perform the song and to embody that character in that way is just thrilling, and particularly to do that in Nashville. And we're so supported too by, you know, obviously some of the most amazing musical artists in the world are in Nashville, and it's a very small community in that way, and so we all feel really supported by them. So to be able to, for me, to get up on stage and to sing a song and have people like Brad Paisley and Sheryl Crow and all these just incredible performers cheering us on is just, forget it. It's just a thrill. It's a dream.
It's funny, all those years sitting on the sidelines of cheering along in Friday Night Lights, and now you're up on the stage. You're now having everyone cheer you on.
I know, and I used to always talk about how the worst scenes for me to shoot at Friday Night Lights were the football scenes, because I would just have to sit in the stands for hours and hours and hours. And by the way, knowing very little about football, so ultimately having to I would literally just shout to the director who was way down on the field, like, just tell me, am I happy or am I sad? You know, because beyond that, I didn't really know.
And what's been your favorite musical performance on the show that you've gotten to do?
My favorite musical performance?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, they've all been really cool. You know, I would say in season 1, I did a duet with Hayden Panettiere, who plays Juliet Barnes on the show, and we did a duet of a song called "The Wrong Song," and it was our first duet together, and we shot it on the Ryman stage, and that was so exciting. Hayden is wonderful, and she's so great to work with, and it was really fun to have those characters finally come together on stage, and it was a great song, and actually my son's favorite song, "The Wrong Song," and it was just a really, really exciting, fun day of shooting, and it was on the Ryman stage, and there's nothing better than performing on the Ryman stage. So I would say I've loved all of them for different reasons, but that one really stands out.
And this season, your sort of relationship, or both seasons, your relationship with Juliet's been a really interesting one, going into different things, and you sort of start working together a bit this year and stuff like that. How do you find those developments this year? And do you prefer being a rival with her, or do you prefer sort of singing alongside her?
For me, I like all of those elements. I don't ever want to get to a place where we lose the rivalry, and I don't ever want to get to a place where we can't also find a way to sort of integrate our characters and you know, have them come together in all of the various ways that it makes sense for them to come together. And I just think I think that the two characters are inherently very different. They're very different women. Their life experience is very different. Their goals are very different. And their values are very different. And I think it's fun to be able to play all of the elements of that. And the way you get to do that the best is by throwing them together. So I'm always encouraging the writers to put the characters together and let's let the sparks fly, and let's let them also see how they can be valuable to each other, and ultimately support each other as women.
And talking about some of the other relationships on the show, obviously the season final had some big moments for your character with Luke proposing and Deacon sort of not being too keen on that idea, and sort of you getting caught in the middle of it all. How do you feel about all that coming to a head for Rayna?
I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a blast. I mean, listen, I don't know how many people have been proposed to by two different men in one day before, but now I have. I mean, not I have, but Rayna has, and so I feel a kinship that now I have played a character who has been proposed to twice in one day by two different men. And so anyway, it was a lot of fun because also I love working with both of those guys so much. Chip Eston, who plays Deacon, and Will Chase, who plays Luke. They're just both incredible and so much fun. And, I wish I could do, I wish I could marry both of them. Let's just say that.
We need a sliding doors episode of Nashville.
Exactly. We'll have it. Maybe we'll have it. You don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
No. And by the way, nor do I. No idea. No idea.
Okay. Do you secretly have one that you'd rather? Are you just trying to be diplomatic for the fans?
No, I'm honest. Listen, I do think, because Will Chase is, by the way, both of them are hilarious. Like, if you ever get a chance to talk to either Chip or Will, they're both so funny. So I'm just dying laughing the whole time when I'm working with them. I do, so I love Will. I do think that there is something very palpable, and there's something about the relationship between Deacon and Rayna that feels like it's very grounded in something, and there's a complexity to that I like, and I think that there's a real chemistry between them, even though I feel there's chemistry with both couples, but. I guess I do feel a little bit like there's so much richness to the Deacon-Rayna relationship that, that's kind of a fun one always to go back to and see where it goes. And I know the audiences really love that too. But you know what? Also fraught with trouble. But then again, it's drama. That's what we're doing here. It's drama.
Yeah, and it's probably very stressful for Rayna, but she's sport for choice. Like, she's some.
I know, poor Rayna, man. I just, I guess it's good problems to have, good problems to have.
Yeah, some girls wait their whole lives to get a lovely proposal.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it this way. I don't feel too sorry for Rayna. The truth of the matter is, she doesn't have to marry either one of them. They're both good men. Make a decision.
Ball's in her court.
What was that?
The ball's in her court.
Yes, it is.
You touched on this a bit earlier, and it's something that sort of fascinates me about both Friday Night Lights and Nashville, how you sort of filmed them in Texas and Nashville, and sort of like both shows explore sort of very different cultures and really tap into a world. And I'm sure you enjoyed Friday Night Lights, even though you didn't know much about football. Like, I didn't really know much about it when I was watching it either, and I'm sure, I don't know much about the country music world as well, going in Nashville. So, what do you think about these shows? And you can focus a bit more on Nashville if you'd like, about sort of tapping into a world that, unless you live in those communities, you don't really get to see.
Well, those are my favorite. That's my favorite kind of show to do. I love going into a very sort of very specific world. That whether it's Friday Night Lights, which was it's a very small community, and we're focusing on the football aspect of that world and how the football affects all the members of that community. I love that, or, in Nashville, really like diving into and sort of embedding ourselves as characters and also for the audience into a world that is very rarefied and a world that the audience may not very well know. Or even better, if it's a world that the audience has an idea about, or they think they have an idea about, and then we can go in and create real human characters in that world and really bring it to life. So we're able to transcend the kind of stereotypical ideas of that world that the audience might have and humanize it and make it real and make it authentic. And that's my favorite kind of world to inhabit. It's very similar to what The Sopranos did, for the mafia world. Obviously, we all have sort of preconceived notions of what that world is, but then the next thing we know, here's Tony Soprano becoming a real human being, and that's not a character that you would necessarily perceive to be that way. And those kinds of shows are my favorite.
Yeah, and is it a bit of a risk for a show to not shoot in LA to sort of get the whole crew down there somewhere else?
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, there are so many shows that don't shoot in LA anymore, but specifically for us to go to Nashville, a lot of shows shoot in other towns because there are tax breaks and all that kind of thing. But for us specifically to shoot in Nashville was really very much about we had to be in that town. We had to be surrounded by the music and by those people. And, Nashville didn't really have an infrastructure for shooting a TV show. They shoot a lot of music videos down there, but they hadn't shot a lot of TV down there. So, definitely we had a lot of learning and growing to do in the first season in terms of just how to produce a very ambitious television show down in Nashville. But it was worth it. It's just so worth it to be able to do it in the place because, I think it would be far riskier to try to do a show called Nashville in Los Angeles because then the risk that you have is that your show is not going to feel real and it's not going to feel authentic and you're not going to have access to these amazing stages and to the amazing songwriters that we have access to and to every element of that music world, which is such an important part of our show. So hands down, it's worth it.
Yeah, if I was to learn two things from if I was to learn one thing from your two shows, it'd be that in the South, people are very passionate people about sports, about music, whatever. They're very passionate. If you were to get nominated for an Emmy this year, do you know what episode you might submit from season 2 of Nashville?
I don't know. I'm really bad. I actually haven't watched a lot of the episodes, mostly because I end up being so busy shooting them that I don't end up getting to see them. But I would maybe submit the last one, the final episode of the season, just because I think it was a fun dramatic episode, and also there were all those really fun performances, and so for me it felt like there was a lot for the character to do, but I don't know, I would have to think about that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. You get to see Ball and Chain.
If I were to be so lucky, then I will address that question.
Okay, very good. We've got a question in the chat room from Jenny R, who says you're her acting idol, and asked, you studied the Meisner technique. Is that technique that you still use today in Nashville, or do you use a different method?
I do. I still, I still use elements of that for sure. You know, I feel like I feel like I'm learning every day as an actor, and that Meisner foundation is always with me and has always stayed with me very strongly. And that's really just about listening and answering, and that is rule number one for me as an actor, is to always listen, both in character and also to the people that with whom I'm working. And that's fundamental Meisner. And I think, you know, I also like to work, depending on what the project is, I like to work improvisationally as much as I can, and I think Meisner is a really great technique when you're working improvisationally as well. So, yeah, I say, I listen, every single thing that I have ever learned, I take it with me and I put it in a box and I cherish it. And and the box is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets bigger every day. And it just helps me to be better.
Oh, that's good to hear. Oh, and Chloe Hurley goes, would you ever consider doing an album of your own?
That would be so crazy. You know, I haven't really. I've actually had people, you know, ask me about it, and it would be so fun to do something like that, but you know, there are so many amazing people out there that should be doing albums, and I don't know, maybe it's very flattering to even consider doing. And I will have to say, like, if I were ever inspired to do it, it would be from being in Nashville, and you know, I just have made great friends there who are songwriters, and just the possibility of being able to sit down with some of them and write songs and sing them would be encouragement enough to maybe consider doing it. So in that capacity, maybe.
That's cool. Yeah, so thanks so much for spending time with us. One more question. What do you think's at the heart of Nashville? What would you, if you could say, give one tagline for what is at the heart of that show, what would you make it be?
What is at the heart of Nashville?
Yeah.
Nashville is a country song, man. It's a country song. That's it. You know, the heart of Nashville is the music and just everything that you find in a country song. Beautiful joys, great failure, great heartbreak, great passion, all of those things. It's a country song.
Girls and beer?
What'd you say?
Girls and beer?
And that too, yes.
Yeah. That's great, Connie. Thanks so much for spending so much time with us today in your busy schedule, and all the best of luck for the Emmys, and all the best of luck with Nashville Season 3. You got a third season coming up?
Season 3, it's coming up.
Get excited.
Thank you so much.
No worries, Connie. Anytime.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.